We often hear that it's important to confront our challenges head-on, but sometimes, we misunderstand this advice and end up making things worse. To understand how we can manifest solutions to our problems, let me tell you a story about Daniel and the lion's den. Darius became the ruler over Babylon. To better control the kingdom, the king divided his kingdom into 120 states and placed a governor in charge of each one. In order to make sure that his government was run properly, Darius put 3 other officials in charge of the governors. One of these officials was Daniel. Daniel was a person who had faith in God, prayed and practiced spirituality in his personal life. And he did his work so much better than the other governors and officials that the king decided to let him govern the whole kingdom, which created a fire of jealousy and envy in the heart of other administrators and governors. The other men tried to find something wrong with the way Daniel did his work for the king. But they could not accuse him of anything wrong because he was honest and faithful and did everything he was supposed to do. Finally, they said to one another, "We will never be able to bring any charge against Daniel unless it has to do with his God." They all went to the king and said, "All of your officials, leaders, advisors, and governors agree that you should make a law forbidding anyone to pray to any god or human except you for the next 30 days. Everyone who disobeys this law must be thrown into a den of lions. Order this to be written and then sign it, so it cannot be changed, just as no written law of the Medes and Persians can be changed." So King Darius made the law and had it written down. Daniel heard about the law, but when he returned home, he went upstairs and prayed in front of the window that faced town. In the same way that he had always done, he knelt down in prayer 3 times a day, giving thanks to God. The men who had spoken to the king watched Daniel and saw him praying to his God for help. They went back to the king and said, "Didn't you make a law that forbids anyone to pray to any god or human except you for the next 30 days? And doesn't the law say that everyone who disobeys it will be thrown into a pit of lions?" "Yes, that's the law I made," the king agreed. "And just like all written laws of the Medes and Persians, it cannot be changed." The men then told the king, "Daniel, who was brought here as a captive, refuses to obey you or the law that you ordered to be written. And he still prays to his God 3 times a day." The king was really upset to hear about this, and for the rest of the day he tried to think how he could save Daniel. At sunset the men returned and said, "Your Majesty, remember that no written law of the Medes and Persians can be changed, not even by the king." So Darius ordered Daniel to be brought out and thrown into a pit of lions. But he said to Daniel, "You have been faithful to your God, and I pray that he will rescue you." The stone was rolled over the pit and it was sealed. Then Darius and his officials stamped the seal to show that no one should let Daniel out. All night long the king could not sleep. He did not eat anything, and he would not let anyone come in to entertain him. At daybreak the king got up and ran to the pit. He was anxious and shouted, "Daniel, you were faithful and served your God. Was he able to save you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "Your Majesty, I hope you live forever. My God knew that I was innocent, and he sent an angel to keep the lions from eating me. Your Majesty, I have never done anything to hurt you." The king was overjoyed and gave order to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him because he had trusted in his God. In the story it says that Daniel, while in the lion's den, turned his back completely upon the lions and looked towards the light coming from above, that the lions remained powerless and Daniel's faith in his God saved him. This also is your story, and you too must do as Daniel did. If you found yourself in a lion's den, you would have no other concern but lions. You would not be thinking of one thing in the world but your problem, which would be lions. Yet, Daniel turned his back completely upon the lions, which are the present problems, and looked towards the light that was his God, which is the thing we seek or the desired situation we want to be. So, while we are imprisoned within the den of poverty or sickness, we must take our attention away from our problems of debts or sickness and dwell upon the things we seek. I cannot emphasize any more on this, that how important this is. If the problem comes into your mind again and again, just gently remove your attention away from the problem. Keep it to anything you want, but not that problem that you want to resolve. I know it is hard to have no money and don't think about it, but this is the only hard part, which is just a mental practice. If we do not look back in consciousness to our problems but continue in faith, believing ourselves to be that which we seek, we too will find our prison walls open and the problems will be resolved magically out of nowhere. Thank you for watching. To support us, please like the video and subscribe the channel Rumi Sufi Mystic.